All right, what's up, YouTube? All right, so here it goes. Crackhead Bougie. Um, this is an extension of the Rico case. So this is part two. Or no, this is episode 2, part 1. All right. Episode 1 was the Rico case. All right. So go to my playlist. And it's actually up top in the toolbar. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell. Go up top to the toolbar. Go over to playlists. And then go down and you'll find stories part 1, 2, 3, 4 organized, right? All right, so Crackhead Bougie was the first crackhead that I ever really knew. He was the first crackhead that I knew. He was the first crackhead that ever ripped us off. So me and my boy Tiny, right? So Tiny, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of Tiny. Tiny was like a kid who kind of had a rough childhood, but then was taken in by his grandparents at a certain age. So he didn't really see too much shit. But I think shit happened to him when he was a little kid. I think he got beat real bad or something, right? And I don't know that he has any memory of that. I don't think he does. I don't remember, though. He might. We don't talk anymore. So Tiny was like my best friend back then, right? And he had a rough childhood, but then his grandparents took him in, and then he had a silver spoon. So the whole time I knew him, he had a silver spoon. He never needed to be involved with selling weed and being in the streets and things of that nature, right? This was a 100% choice of his, okay? He wasn't forced into this, none of that type of shit. It wasn't in his environment, none of that kind of shit, right? So for the life of him, he just always wanted to be in the streets, even though he could have done anything else with himself. Now, his mom ended up contracting HIV when he was like 13 or something, so he took that kind of rough and, whatever. So me and Tiny are kids. We're like 13, 14, right? We're not kids, though, really. We're like teenagers. So we're like 13, 14. We meet Crackhead Bougie one day, right? And he's like this older Italian dude who has been to prison and shit, right? So we're like, I think this guy like is half a G or something, right? We don't know what crackheads are. We don't really know much about cocaine or anything like this, right? So he's like, yeah, I can get y'all some mushrooms. Y'all want some mushrooms? We're just like experimenting with shit, He's like, yeah, y'all want some mushrooms? I get y'all some mushrooms. I don't know if that was our request or if that's just some shit he threw out there. I don't remember. I think it was some shit he might have threw out there because we could probably get weed around town, right? So, he's like, yeah, I get y'all some mushrooms. Come on. He takes us all the way to North Minneapolis. Mind you, we're out in the suburbs. He takes us like 20, 30 minutes to North Minneapolis. And he goes inside of a house. But before he leaves, he's like, hey, man, one of y'all got a pipe? I have him pack some weed for us, too. So we give him our pipe. This motherfucker ripped us off for our money and our pipe, right? Crackhead motherfucker. And used our pipe to smoke crack, obviously, right? So he goes in the house, and we're not hip to this shit at all. He goes in the house, and he doesn't come back for like 5-10 minutes go by. And I see a couple other people go into the house, and I'm like, oh, those are crackheads or something, man. Like, we don't really know what crackheads are, but I'm seeing it, and I'm like, something ain't right, So, like, fuck, he ripped us off, man. We made about another 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. We leave. We go back to Mound, right? We go back to Mound, and we go back to this dude's house. This older dude, his name was Pat. We go back to Pat's house, right? And Pat's like this older dude. He's probably about like 35 or something like that. He's about 30, 35. He's an older dude from Houston, Texas. He's like a GD or something, right? But he's like a real GD, you know? As far as, he's like an older dude, you know? So, he seems to be pretty wise. So, we're back at Pat's crib explaining to him what this crackhead motherfucker done did, right? And Pat's like, oh, you know what? That motherfucker was here earlier today. And I'm just like, Pat must have been selling him dope now that I think about it. And he was like, yeah, that motherfucker was here earlier today. And I'm like, damn. So we're sitting there getting drunk, getting pissed off about our money getting took. All of a sudden somebody starts knocking on the window. I pull the shades up, I look out the window, but he don't see me. It's crackhead Bougie. He done came back to the same spot. Now, that's the first time we've ever, maybe second time we've been there. So that's the last place he expected us to be. This fool comes back, knocks on the same fucking window of the apartment that we're in. So I see him, I'm like, oh, it's that motherfucker outside. So I just go running out the front door. Tiny's following me. Pat's right behind me. As soon as I get outside and see him, I start drilling him. I start taking off on him. Boom, boom, boom. I start taking off on him. He curls up. No. He starts doing that shit. And see, I didn't really know, you know, how when crackheads are all impaired and shit, even if they can fight a little, they'll just bitch up. They'll just fold if they're on that shit, right? So he just folds. We just start mopping him, right? Tiny's standing there. Pat's like, get on him, man. Tiny gets on. We're both just whooping on him, right? Kick him in the ass, throw him off the steps. Of course, he has nothing. We don't even run his pockets, like, you know? I don't remember what he said, if he even had the pipe or any of that. I don't remember none of that. Beat his ass. So that's my first encounter with the crackhead and getting ripped off, right? We got lucky and actually got our revenge, right? So fast forward 5 years or something. Crackhead Bougie is just a customer, right? So one day I won't front him nothing because he just already owes, right? I'm like, I ain't fronting nothing, man, right? And he knows from day one, well, let's beat the fuck out of you if you do anything wrong, man. But he still be trying to pull shit, right? So I guess I'll never be involved with that kind of shit ever again in my life, man. You know? I hate even telling these fucking kind of stories, man. Like, I wish I didn't have these fucking stories, man. Like, I honestly wish I didn't have these stories, man. I'm not kidding, man. Like, I wish I didn't know nothing about none of that type of shit. None of those type of scumbag ass motherfuckers. None of that shit. That's the truth. So, God, man. So, this dude, man, I won't front him nothing. He gets all irate and leaves, right? He doesn't really say shit. He just gets mad. He leaves, right? For some reason, he goes and he spray paints Tiny's car. Spray paints all over it, all over the windows. It's like a red Chevy Cavalier, $1,000 car at best, right? But it's not so much that he spray painted the car. It's what he spray painted on the car, right? So he spray paints all over his car. Bitch. Punk, faggot, dick sucker, fucking snitch, coward, right? Just everything he can think of, every derogatory name you can think of, right? He just spray paints on Tiny's car. And so either I came over to his house, I think he pulled up on me. I think he came to my house. God, I don't know where I saw him, but I saw him somewhere. He might have pulled up at my house. And I don't know where it was, but I looked at that car and I started laughing like, whoa, what the fuck, man? He's like, Crackhead Pete did this shit, man. What the fuck, man? Like, fucking Crackhead Pete, man. He's tripping, right? And I'm like, damn. All right, so I laugh at him. He gets all pissed off and peels off in the car. Mind you, he drives this car around. He like scrapes the paint off the windows or did something and drives this car around like this for like a couple of days or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. And Tiny, at the time, he's most of that shit on that car, but he's not a rat at the time. It's to my, he wasn't a rat back then. And I don't, definitely was a bitch. Definitely was a punk. I don't know if I'd call him a fag, but he was a lot of the shit that he spray painted on the car